Yo, welcome back, guys. Thank you for joining us. This is Cam and Dan Live. I'm Daniel Kamala, Kamal Ford, Daniel in Birmingham. Cam, what's going on, man? What a great weekend. What a tremendous weekend of fights that we have had across 2 days.
Yeah, and then a lot of things about it is a lot of people only was focusing on the Errol Spence and Danny Garcia fight.
Yeah, true. Which is a big, which is a big fight,
It really was. It really was. I mean, the way the fights went this weekend, I think that was like the icing on the cake. You had two fights
icing on the cake. Yeah.
You had two fights over in the pond over there by you, man. They had my boy Billy Joe Saunders versus Martin Murray.
That's right.
Typical Billy Joe, man. Typical Billy Joe. Like that southpaw stance.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I can say about Billy Joe is he lacks in power. He makes up with his boxing ability. I mean,
yeah.
He slipped a jab. He was slipping all his punches, moving around the ring real good. He had good ring generalship. He was landing whatever he felt like throwing. I mean, Martin Murray had no answer for this guy, man. Billy Joe is like that dude. Matter of fact, I'm gonna talk about him later on when we do that video that what I'm saying we was talking about, because he's on that list, man. He's on that list.
Okay, gotcha.
I think though, I want to say it's time for him to fight better. I'm not gonna say he hasn't fought in good competition, but like it's time for him to fight some real names. Like I think he's at 160. Like Daniel Jacobs, Caleb Plant,
Saul
Benavidez. Are the Durrell brothers still fighting? Arthur Durrell and Anthony Durrell?
I think so. I think right now they're in the perennial contenders. David Benavidez beat one of them for the WBC crown, and so I think they're top 10 guys. So they're still fighting. But to be honest, I think he can do better than them. No offense towards the Durrell brothers. I feel like, with Billy Joe Saunders, what was supposed to happen, he was supposed to fight Saul Alvarez, aka Canelo, in May in Las Vegas, and it was going to be DAZN's debut in the UK, and it was going to be an out-of-zone production, Matchroom Golden Boy, Saunders versus Canelo in May. But obviously, after the Wuhan virus happened, the fight got referred, and after the fight happened, a lot of things happened, so it was very hard to reschedule that fight. And so what happened, with Canelo's contract disputes with DAZN and BJS, and Canelo's disputes with Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya, so it was supposed to happen. But this Martin Murray fight was important for him. They had a little bit of heat, I remember, from last year, and so this was a great thing for them to get out of the way. Martin Murray, a perennial contender in the middleweight division, has been in that title picture, for a long time, and so I feel like this was his final shot. But right now, Billy Joe Saunders, in my opinion, has to get the winner of Saul Alvarez versus Callum Summers.
What's that fight's at 168 too?
Yeah.
All right. Another thing though, I also
for the rematch.
I think though that I still think Billy Joe can still make 160. That's just my opinion.
I think he can. Yeah, I think he can.
Because he had the WBO at 160, and now he has it at 168. I still think he can make 160. I think he'd probably be better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Slower than me at 168. I think those 8 pounds, you know what I'm saying? Them 8 pounds, shit, it makes a big difference in a fight, but still.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, 100%. 100%.
Fought some real tough competition. He Martin Murray, Chris Eubanks,
David Lemieux.
I think that was his best performance ever.
Yeah, that was he was superb. I think that was his debut to North American television. That was on HBO and in Canada, in David Lemieux's home turf. So, that fight he fought, Billy Joe had, after winning the championship, he had like a hiatus. And then he almost lost a fight in Scotland, I believe. He almost lost a fight, and he had an abhorrent performance. And then he switched trainers and revamped himself up. And what you seen was a brand new Billy Joe Saunders. He went to train with Dominic Ingle in Sheffield, and then We went to the Copper Box, had a succession of great fights there, beating Willie Monroe, and was supposed to fight a Georgian fighter named Georgia in the country, not Georgia, it's in Atlanta. A fighter, a Georgia in Atlanta, but that guy got caught up in a legal scandal. And so, he's just become better. He faced Willie Monroe Jr., David Lemieux, obviously Martin Murray now, and doing, things in between. So I feel like right now it's time for Billy Joe Saunders to have that big fight, that and proves he deserves to be where he's at. And what a lot of people don't know about Billy Joe Saunders, not that he's undefeated as a professional, but he was I think he was seldom undefeated as an amateur too. He was in the 2008 Olympics, but had a bit of trouble himself down then, so wasn't able to compete in the Olympic Games, but he was there and was supposed to be there. So, no one's really ever beat him, no one's really ever beat Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, I think it's that time. And then so let's move on to a disappointment.
Let me brace myself.
Your boy Anthony Yarde, man.
So London on BT Sport on the Superstation. It was Anthony Yarde of London, Anthony Yarde of the east of Essex, London, Ilford, versus Lyndon Arthur of Manchester. So Manchester versus London, or the London Essex was point. And it was a great fight. It was a domestic fight. This is Lyndon rising up the ranks, and this is Yarde coming from that Kovalev. So this was just that meeting point. This is that meeting point and such an all-important fight for both men's careers. And so, Cam, tell us about that fight. Take us through it.
I think it was for the WBO Intercontinental Championship, I believe.
And the Commonwealth Championship.
In the Commonwealth Championship. Y'all disappointed me, man. Like, they say you cannot win a fight with a jab, and King Arthur fight with a jab. Okay, he was with a jab the whole fight. Like right hands the whole fight. And it was like, Anthony Yarde, like he was just there to be there. Like he was smiling in the ring and he was just posing a lot. Like, throw a punch. Do something. Yeah. And then his corner had, I think like in the 6th round, man, his corner said, I had to write this down. His corner said, stay relaxed, stay calm, stay focused, let your hands go. I do not like when the corner tells a fighter to let their hands go, but don't tell them how to let their hands go. Like,
how to do it. Absolutely. 100%.
Like, I'm watching the fight, and I'm like, okay, this dude's Arthur's left hand is hanging low. Start throwing that right hand. You know what I'm saying?
Over the top. Yeah.
Over the top. They just say, let your hand. And then you're going to say, stay. For me, I'm looking at I'm like, the first 5 rounds, you're getting beat with a jab. You got to do it.
Not just a jab, but with one hand. Absolutely. 100%. And he his hand. Yeah.
The whole night, you were just getting hit with a jab, and then he was sitting there like, he was sitting there, he was like this, like he posing for pictures. What is you?
He had the Mayweather, the Philly show stance, later popularized by Floyd Mayweather of Detroit, Michigan. But the Philly show stance is what he had, and the Philly show stance, what it's designed to protect you from?
It's protect
the jab.
And you getting caught with the jab all day.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so, it's obviously easier said than done in the game, but, I'll let you finish off the first.
It is easier said than done, but I'm looking at it, and I'm like, Yarde had so many opportunities to let that right hand go over the top of that jab.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, Arthur was throwing that jab the whole fight. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm moving back, I'm throwing a jab. I'm moving to the left, I'm throwing. Like, he threw the jab in every which way that you can, but never came with, like, he hit him with the right hand like maybe 3 or 4 times the whole fight. And then at the last round, that's when Anthony Yarde wanted to, like, come forward and put a lot of pressure on him. And I'm like, we should have been doing that in the beginning of the fight. We did this fight.
Yeah, 100%. The 12th round.
This fight could have been
the 12th round, yeah.
Because when he hit him in the 12th round, dude started buckling. I'm like, you could have did this in the 1st round.
He almost dropped it.
I'm in here in the 4th round, and I could have taken a nap. So I said, Errol Spence fight later. Not,
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was afternoon, wasn't it, for you guys, right?
yeah. I'm like, now you prologuing my whole day. I could have been taking a nap.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I
know,
hope he goes back.
I was.
And I hope he goes back, and I hope he just, be more aggressive. I mean, he did look good. He looked better than COVID. Another thing that I noticed in that fight too, he started breathing heavy in the later rounds, like he did in the Kovalev fight.
I see.
Tell me
Yeah.
what corner he's breathing heavy. I'm like, that's not a good sign, because your last fight you was looking good. You wasn't breathing good. You was breathing good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope he ain't take this guy lightly, because if you did,
Yeah.
that's.
A part of me thinks he did underestimate. He heavily underestimated Lyndon Arthur. And so my outlook in this fight, first of all, I love Anthony Yarde. I've followed Anthony Yarde since the beginning of his career, maybe 4 fights in, and I've spoken to his trainer numerous times. Tunde Ajayi, Baba Tunde Ajayi, and the genius. And what it is that, and obviously, Tunde, I think, is a good trainer. He's not a great trainer, because he's great, he's different, and he's very supportive. He's got a great rhythm, but I feel like he didn't tell Yarde what Yarde needed to hear. You know what I mean? And so what had happened was, it's a great corner and a great team, and he didn't tell Yarde how to cut off the ring. He did tell him, he needed to land that overhand right. He didn't tell him how to. What Yarde needed to do in that fight was to cut off the ring. You basically, have it to you. You have a guy who's got who's fighting one-handed, because he's hurt his right hand. And so that's tailor-made for you to, one, slip that right hand and come with something over the top, or two, since you're in the Philly shell, parry that right hand and then come with a jab of your own. Parry that jab, come with a jab of your own, and maybe a combination. You know what I mean? And so Arthur had the reach advantage. Arthur had the jab. Arthur had the height advantage as well. And so he needed to cut off the ring. He needed to, wherever Arthur went, he needed to slide his front foot and cover that ring. And as Arthur was coming in, jab, parry the jab. As he's going out, parry the jab. Push him and pressure him, towards the ropes. You know what I'm saying? And Tunde didn't tell him that. You know what I mean? Tunde did not tell him that. And it was frustrating, because Yarde was doing a lot of good work. He had a lot of great counter moments. He had a lot of, for me, it was also back and forth to a certain capacity. But at the same time, what had happened was, I feel like Lyndon Arthur did enough. He did very much enough. And there was a scorecard out there, which was ludicrous, which was giving it 117 to 111.
And then the other two was 115 and 114.
Each, yeah, a piece, which is tremendous, which is.
The other one was for Arthur, and at 170,
yeah,
117, 111 was for Arthur.
Yeah, and so which was tremendous. I feel like, and a lot of people over this side of this neck of the woods have been talking about how he needs to get a new trainer. He needs to ditch Bannon. He needs to leave Tunde Ajayi. I don't think he needs to leave Tunde Ajayi. I think he needs to do what Anthony Joshua did with Tony Sims. When Josh turned pro, he was with Tony Sims, and he made Tony Sims his number 2 man, and he brought in the great British coach from Team GB, Rob McCracken, right? And so I feel like he needs to have a new head trainer, just to teach him some new fundamentals, just to teach him some new things. And that, which I feel like would be extremely important. Keep Tunde there, keep keep Ade there, keep all those guys there. But I feel like he needs to learn. And what annoys me so much about this fight is that after the loss to Kovalev, this was the last thing he needed in his career. This was the last thing that he needed in his career. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. He needs to add another trainer, but he needs to add a trainer that, as the fight is going on, to be like, nah.
Yeah.
Top of the jab with your right hand. Go to the body. So this fight is not throwing his right hand, so you press him, put the pressure on him. He needs a trainer that, as the fight's going on and he goes down and he sits down in the corner, he can tell him, all right, well, that fighter's doing this. You need to adjust and do this. Because some fighters, like you got like a Mayweather, you got like a Errol Spence, you got a Terrence Crawford. These guys can adjust on the fly without you having to tell them how to adjust.
Yeah, can adjust themselves. Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? They can adjust themselves. But then you have some fighters that are great, but they don't see what's going on. So when they sit in the corner, you need that trainer in your ear to tell you, like, yo, put the gas on him. You know what? I see he's hitting you, but you walking through those hits, take it. You know, you need a trainer.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's missing. I agree with you. Keep the team. Add a trainer that's gonna
head trainer, you know, and it doesn't even have to be a British trainer. You know, if you get, you know, he doesn't even have to be a British trainer. You know, you could get an American trainer. He can get, you know, he can get. There's a lot of great guys, you know, that he can get. But you know, all respect to Lyndon Arthur. You know, I like Lyndon Arthur. You know, Pat Barrett, Zelfa Barrett. You know, everyone up there, the Manchester team. You know, them good peoples. You know, so I'm happy for him. But I've been a Yarde guy, you know, for the majority of his career. So, so it was a disappointment to me because I wanted to see him do great things, and I know he's capable of doing great things. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy had a very short amateur career, but you know, as a pro, you know, I wanted to see him do wonderful things, and I still feel like he can. But
he's going to, man. I hope he goes because I could tell after the Kovalev fight, he got his conditioning right.
Yeah. And he got his timing and patience right as well, which we saw in the Thurman fight.
This fight, I don't know. I don't think he took this fight. I think he took this fight lightly.
Yeah, he didn't take. He took Lyndon Arthur very lightly, but yeah.
Oh man, and then the main
event of the evening. Let's get this party started. Honestly, now we're moving to Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas, in Arlington, and we're going to Jerry's World, to the home of the legendary Dallas Cowboys, also known as the AT&T Stadium, where we saw on PBC on Fox pay-per-view. It was Errol "The Truth" Spence, who is the WBC IBF welterweight champion of the world, fighting former 2 division and WBC world welterweight champion Danny Swift Garcia of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Errol Spence of DeSoto, Texas. What a performance by my guy, man. What a performance by my guy, man. Errol Spence beat the bricks of that boy, man. In my little Boosie voice, man. Boosie badass. Now, on no word of a lie, man. I was so shook. Me and Thirsty was so shook because you know why? Because one, Errol was slow. Errol, as always, had that laid back Dallas slur in your voice kind of accent, man. He already had that accent where he's chilled and everything. But the way he was slurring his voice, like his interviews, I was shook. You know what I'm saying? I was personally concerned. You know what I'm saying? Especially after the accent, like he slurred, but here he was slurred much more. And so we started thinking, what if, in this situation, especially in any potential injuries that he sustained in that accident, what if, they aren't fully healed yet? And in this fight, when he gets hit, it's much worse than before, and if, he gets hit, he gets stunned or anything, he might get dropped. Danny Garcia has got a patent left hook, which as a southpaw, he's now more susceptible to, than any other stance, any other fighter. So, anything can happen. And, and he's also had a year off. So we were so shook. We were thinking, man, anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? And I like Danny Garcia, but I like Errol Spence as well, man. I like Errol Spence Jr. very much. I'm a big fan of his. And so we were watching this fight. And then from round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, 5, 10, 12, he was picture perfect, punch perfect, defense perfect, everything. He would throw his jab, was parrying Garcia's jab. Danny would throw his shots, block, jab, body. His jab was superb. Body work, superb. Defense, superb. He got tagged on the chin. He got tagged. Great chin. Everything in that fight was picture perfect. That was as good as a performance that Errol Spence has ever had, and probably the single best performance any fighter has ever had, coming back from what Errol Spence Jr. came back from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think slurring his speech now that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched, like they did like it was kind of like a 24/7 on PBC.
Yeah.
Earl mentioned, I think his I think he's missing teeth.
Oh wow.
So I think he got one there. I think. I know he mentioned it because he was like his daughters was making fun of him because he didn't have his teeth. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that was before the accident. Maybe he got whatever the case may be. So that's probably the slur in his speech now. But
yeah.
don't got much to say. I think the only thing that really surprised me about the fight was Errol Spence. You know, like he brought the up. He came out walking Danny Garcia down. I think that was the only thing that surprised me. I mean, I did my pre-fight video, and I think everything that I mentioned in the video pretty much happened in the fight. So like
in the fight, yeah, and it did, and it did, man. I've never been as impressed from a fighter, as I was with Errol Spence. I've always said, if there's been great fighters, there's been fighters who go into fight and they do what we thought they were going to do, supposed to do. But with everything going back, it's not just Errol Spence beat Danny Garcia. That was probably one of his best performances ever, on top of being in a horrific car accident, on top of a year layoff, and on top of Danny Garcia already being a tremendous fighter, a fighter who could have done, who could have tested Errol Spence a lot. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, wow. It's fights like that that you think to yourself, like, damn. You know what I'm saying? It blows your mind. You know what I mean? It was punch, and it was picture perfect. The defense, the chin, the jab, the body work, the speed. Man, all respect to Errol Spence.
I mean, from coming back from the accident and having that kind of performance, I would agree. Mikael Brook and Errol Spence Jr. was the best, because you've seen Earl take a little bit of adversity. You've seen Earl get hit very hard.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he cracked me, I gotta crack him back, and then
crack him back. Yeah.
Brook, the way he stopped Kell, that's his best.
Yeah.
To his career.
See, maybe I just like this fight because I was scared. Yeah.
Once again,
I think the reason why I like this fight, because me and the homeboy, we were shook. You know what I'm saying? We were thinking, man, what if the worst happens? What if it is a catastrophe? I think that's why, this fight, holds a special place, man.
It does, but I did my prediction video, so I ain't really got much to say.
Yeah, so you got,
I ain't got much to say. I mean,
the world's heavyweight champion.
You want to do that tomorrow?
The world's heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua, Anthony Joshua, is back this Saturday, and so it's going to be a great fight. That's when we're next going to be back, and I do feel that this is going to be a good fight. It's going to be a great fight, and I think that's the top. Yeah, that's the biggest fight. That's that's going to end the year.
I mean, you got Canelo and Liam Smith the following weekend, but
oh yeah. Is that after? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe in terms of competitiveness. But yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We about to close the show out, man. Thanks for watching.
All right, guys.
Hit the bell icon. Do all of that. Comment down below, and we'll be back with another one.
We're back. Thank you guys for joining us. Daniel, Cam, we out.